All right, peace to the 12. So this weapon on the screen, it's really irrelevant to what I'm doing, but it's somewhat relevant because that on the screen is what is known as the Makarov pistol. Okay, I believe the Makarov was made in 1947, if I'm not mistaken. I know a little something about that, but watch what this man says. Now, a man's about to get on the screen from Switzerland that's a top gun designer of today. And he's going to state something about this Makarov. Basically, he's going to say that he cannot replicate what was done all those years ago. And I'm going to use this as a backdrop to prove that there are so many inventions that we haven't been able to replicate today because that technology is lost. Okay?
Collection. I got it there, yeah.
And this is really rare.
I never seen another one.
I've never seen another one. I thought you made it.
No. That's collector's thing. We don't make everything. We like that. So.
Would you ever consider doing something like that?
Well, we always joke, but we won't be able technically to be as good as they were.
He said we won't be able technically to be as good as they were. Now, mind you, this man made this pistol in 1947. I don't know what the model he got, but the pistol was made in 1947. This is a guy that makes all type of guns these days. I believe even automatics, and yet he cannot reproduce an integral suppressor on a Makarov. It's the same way how there are certain things like castles. People cannot reproduce certain castles. People cannot reproduce pyramids. People cannot reproduce certain irrigational systems. Weapons like Greek fire. People cannot reproduce the Ark of the Covenant, obviously. So that's just what I'm saying. There are certain things that are lost with history. And as time gets older, more things that were done in the past are lost. Now, we know that there's no new thing under the sun, but that's talking about there are no new thoughts. All right. There's no new trends, things like that. But as far as actual tangible things, certain things are lost within history. Okay. And I'm going to get a scripture for that, but I'm going to let him finish.
Billy, why not?
I think it's really made in the old-fashioned way, which is still superior to what we achieve today. So I love it.
He said it's made in the old-fashioned way that is superior to the way that we make things. Okay?
How so? How's it superior?
Yeah, I think in the mechanics, and when you look at this cut-out thread on the suppressor, I mean
that's pretty much it.
You know how they did.
Point is, he just admitted that they can't replicate everything. Okay, now I'm gonna get a scripture on that and prove that yes, we're actually waxing worse in age, meaning we're more forgetful in age. Just like when someone is older, they're forgetful in age. I'm gonna get that scripture. This is 2nd Esdras. Okay, now this is 2nd Esdras, chapter 14, and we're gonna start at verse 10. For the world have lost his youth, and the times began to wax old. So the world has lost its youth, and the times begin to wax old. The world is getting older. For the world is divided into 12 parts, and the 10 parts of it are gone already, and half of a 10th part. And there remaineth that which is after the half of the 10th part. Now I'm going to go down verse 16. For yet greater evils than those which thou hast seen happen shall be done hereafter. Right? Why? For look how much the world shall be weaker through age. So the world is weaker through age. So much the more shall evils increase upon them that dwell therein. All right. So evils increase because the world gets older. Just like when someone gets older, what do they get? They get things like dementia. Okay. They get things like Alzheimer's. Right? Well, people get forgetful of things that happened in the former, right? I believe the scripture states that there is no remembrance of former things. And I wanted to point this out to say that, the so-called white man teaches you that we're evolving, but in actuality, we are devolving. Okay, we used to live older back in the day. I'm going to get the scripture. Now man's age is 70 years, sometimes more, sometimes less. But on average, it's 70 years, like the scripture tells you in Psalms, I believe. But this is Genesis. This is Genesis chapter 5 and verse 27, right? It reads, and all the days of Methuselah were 969 years, and he died. So on average, people live to be 700, 780, 900, 180 years old, all type. I believe Noah was what, 700? Or something like to that effect. You can find it out in Genesis 5. But people were living longer back then. Okay? So again, that's just to tell you, yeah, we're actually devolving. I'll probably do a more in-depth video on this. But there are so many inventions that cannot be replicated. That's why I use that pistol thing as an example. Okay? There's so many things lost in time. That's pretty much it on that. Peace of the 12. Shalom.